Welcome back to the channel, friends. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Today, we're diving into a tale of betrayal, quiet strength, and sweet justice. This one comes straight from the heartland of America, a quiet suburb in Ohio, where one woman's dream home almost slipped away because of greed disguised as family love. Stick around to the end. You'll want to hear how she turned the tables. And if you've ever felt taken for granted in your own home, this one's for you. It all started in 2018. Margaret, or Maggie Thompson, was 62, a retired schoolteacher living in the house she'd bought with her late husband, Robert, back in 1985. The place was nothing fancy, a two-story colonial on a tree-lined street in a Cleveland suburb. But it was paid off. Fully hers, the deed clear as day in her name alone. Robert had passed 5 years earlier from cancer, leaving Maggie with memories, a modest pension, and that house she loved like a second child. Her only daughter, Sarah, was 35 then. Sarah had married Mark 2 years before. Mark was charming at first, tall, confident, always talking about big plans. He worked in sales, or so he said. Maggie liked him well enough. When Sarah announced she was pregnant, Maggie was overjoyed. She offered to help with the baby, maybe let them stay for a few months while they saved for a place of their own. Just until you get on your feet, she told them. Family helps family. They moved in with 2 suitcases and a crib. Maggie cleared out the guest room, even bought new sheets. Months turned into a year. The baby, little Emma, was born. Maggie babysat, cooked, paid the utilities quietly. Mark and Sarah paid nothing. No rent, no groceries, nothing. "We're saving," Sarah would say. Maggie smiled and nodded. She didn't want to push. She thought it was temporary. But it wasn't. 2 years in, Maggie started noticing things. Mark would come home late, smelling of beer. Sarah seemed tired, always apologizing. The house felt smaller. Mark sprawled on the couch like he owned it, remote in hand, yelling at the TV. One evening, Maggie was watching her favorite show, a quiet documentary about birds. Mark walked in, grabbed the remote, and switched to football. "Move over, old lady," he said. "This is the family room now." Maggie froze. Sarah looked away. Maggie stood, walked to her room, and closed the door. That night, she couldn't sleep. The next morning, she checked her mail. There was a property tax bill, same as always, but something nagged at her. She went online to the county recorder's office just to double-check the deed. What she saw made her heart stop. The deed had been changed. Her name was still there, but so was Mark's. It was a quitclaim deed signed Maggie Thompson, dated 6 months earlier. The signature looked like hers, but she hadn't signed anything. Mark had added his name to the title without her knowledge. She called Sarah. "Did you know about this?" Sarah's voice cracked. "Mark said it was for protection. In case something happened to you, the house would go to us. He said it was easier this way." Maggie felt the floor drop. Easier for who? Mark had forged her signature. He'd convinced Sarah it was no big deal, just paperwork to secure the future. Then he filed it with the county. Now, on paper, he was a co-owner. If Maggie died, the house would go to him and Sarah. If they divorced, he could claim half. Maggie didn't yell. She didn't cry. She sat in her green armchair, the one Robert had bought her, and thought. She'd worked 35 years as a teacher, saved every penny, paid off the mortgage. This house was her legacy, her security, and now it was being stolen from under her. She called her old friend, attorney Elaine Harper, who'd handled Robert's will. Elaine listened quietly. "This is fraud, Maggie. Forgery on a deed is a crime, but we have to prove it, and we have to act fast." Maggie drove to the county recorder's office. She requested a certified copy of the deed. The signature was close, but not exact. The notary stamp was from a place she'd never been. Elaine filed a quiet title action to declare the added name invalid. She also alerted the police. Forgery is a felony. Mark found out when the sheriff served him papers. He laughed at first. It's family. No one will believe she didn't sign. But Sarah started pulling away. She knew the truth. Mark pressured her. Sign or we'll be homeless. Sarah cried, but she stayed silent. The court date came 6 months later. Maggie wore her best navy dress, the one from her retirement party. She sat straight, hands folded. The judge, a stern woman in her 60s, listened to the evidence. Handwriting expert testified, the signature is forged. Pressure marks show hesitation. The notary admitted he'd never met Maggie. Mark brought the document alone. Mark's lawyer tried to argue adverse possession, that since they'd lived there 4 years, Mark had earned rights. The judge shut it down. Adverse possession doesn't apply to family members living with permission, and forgery voids everything. The judge ruled in Maggie's favor. The quitclaim deed was voided. Mark's name was removed. He was ordered to pay court costs and a fine for fraud. The police charged him with forgery. He pled guilty to avoid jail, got probation. Sarah left him that week. She took Emma and moved into a small apartment. Maggie helped with the deposit. You can always come back as a guest, she told her daughter, but no tenants, no free rides. Maggie renovated. She painted the family room peach, hung Robert's old photos. She started a weekly coffee group for widows and retirees. She called it Boundaries. Protect what's yours. Years later, Sarah remarried, a kind man who paid rent, respected the house. Emma grew up knowing Grandma's home was sacred. Mark faded away, a cautionary tale. Maggie sat in her armchair, remote in hand, volume just right. She smiled. "This house is mine," she whispered, "and it's staying that way." Narrator, deep breath. What a story, right? Betrayal in the family hurts deep, but standing up for yourself? That's power. If this resonated, like the video, subscribe, and comment below. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? Where are you watching from? Let's chat. Thanks for being here. See you in the next story.